Sure.
And Jonathan, we all do share that concern, and we have been kind of working on it in the background. We're trying to collect. Dean and I have been collecting data from other villages, and we have been wanting to put it in a sort of pretty package to present to the Board of Trustees once we have the new board in place to make a formal request. So that is definitely in the works, and we would love for your help to work on it because I think it might be a huge educational process.
I'd like to help with that. I'd be glad to.
That would be great. And if you could put your email in the chat at some point, we can make sure that we include you in the minutes. Verity, it looks like you have raised your hand. Hello.
Hi, I wanted to ask on the leaf blower question. I thought that there was like a seasonal rule in place,
Yes.
or was it just during COVID?
No, the COVID thing was temporary. That's gone, but there is a seasonal ban in Terrytown. Unfortunately, it's only during the summer. So leaf blowers are back in operation right now.
Don't I know it?
Yep.
But
Thank you.
we've been sort of questioning the enforcement of the noise ordinances because sometimes there are multiple leaf blowers going at the same time and the noise level is much higher than the ordinance allows. And so we've been trying, Dean measures it with his noise meter around his house, and we've had multiple people say that. So we've always been trying to figure out what to do. By the time we call the police, the landscapers are finished. But so that's sort of, a huge concern as well, and something we need to figure out how to approach.
Well, you could do it at my house because the lawns here are probably a little bigger than the lawns in the center of the village. And if you notice that 5 or 6 lawnmowers are coming out of various trucks at the same time to go to different houses, you can be, and you call the police, then you can be pretty sure you're going to go way over. Yesterday morning, it was like, oh my God. Well, you know why? Because the village picks the leaves up supposedly for the last time on December 1st. Probably not the case, but everybody here on this street at the same time was getting their leaves blown yesterday. It was deafening and it smelled like gasoline.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was, they were roaring when I was at a tour of solar facilities today, which I'll talk about later. But the minute I got home, the landscapers next door to my house started with 3 units at the same time adjacent to my property line. And it was deafening even within my house. So, I really should have, that they were there long enough. I probably should have called the police to show them the measurement, but it was just impossible. Anyway.
I mean, Rich, do you have anything to add at this juncture about the noise ordinance question?
Well, Rachel, I think it's as you said, the police have to be called and they have to respond. And then once, they have to actually catch the leaf blowers in use by the landscaping companies. So it's a really hard thing to enforce, during any given tour. We have a limited number of officers, and they may be directing traffic or, pulling people over for a, traffic violation or, responding to a, call for a 911 call or something like that. So it's, these quality of life issues are not as important as high as a life safety, people in imminent danger or things like that. But I've certainly talked about it with the chief, and they want to, they do respond to them. It's just a matter of.
I've had success calling them on out of season blowing, at least, but the noise level thing is a different story because they have to be there long enough to measure the sound level.
Rachel, honestly, I would encourage everyone who has a complaint to call the police, but we can't have 100 calls all at once.
Well, right now, the police right now are all over the village because of the construction with the
I mean,
gas or electric. I'm not sure which it is.
It's
So
kind of,
it's gas.
they're all over the place, so they're pretty busy.
So, but
Yeah.
so what do you recommend, Rich? I mean, if we took a recording or a video or anything, would that do anything? Would that help?
we can't enforce it. You know,
not
it's
the
the,
video.
witness it and then make a record of it and note that it's actually a violation of the code. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
They would have to pass an ordinance that a video would be acceptable as a violation, and they're not likely to do that. There are some communities that have done that, but not in our area.
somebody like, with providing a video, you'd need somebody providing a video like that to be available and also stand up in court
Sure.
as a witness. That's, I don't know if the public wants to do that.
Right. I mean, in Dean's case, he's got that noise meter, and if it could be proven that it was an accurate meter, would you accept that as evidence?
Again, the police officers have to witness it and have a record that shows that it's, in excess of the acceptable limits.
It's an in-person thing at this point.
Okie doke. Okay. Well,
What about the real problem, which is that people are trying to get rid of the leaves from their property? Can't we eventually get back to educating people on mulching?
Yep. That's what we want to do.
That's a great idea. I made sure that we amended our fall leaf package this year to add in the whole thing about love them and leave them, mulch your leaves into the lawns, which really,
It's way healthier.
yep. And, people don't realize you can actually obviously the bigger the property and the more trees there are, it becomes extremely difficult, if not impossible, to mulch all the leaves on site, but you can do a large portion of them and reduce the amount of leaves you have to get rid of. So,
Right, exactly. If you did half of them or something like that.
I believe Larchmont just, on the other side of the county, just passed an ordinance about, and I think it was banned all blowing for that purpose.
It takes effect in 2023 though, so it's going to be
yeah.
a while.
Wait, so they have to mulch everything?
I believe so. I think they banned both gas and electric, and I think that they're not doing any pickups. So, I mean, that's the plan, as Dean has said, that it's it was just enacted, so it's in a phase in, I guess.
And
They're doing it right. They're doing it with a lot of outreach to the community and to the landscapers themselves too. So that's a model we can follow if we want to do something as drastic as banning.
And Irvington is doing a similar plan, and they're phasing it in over 3 years, I believe.
Yeah.
Less onerous for the landscapers, because then they can shift to electric without having to, buy right away and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, John and everybody, let me just read this. On Village of Larchmont's website, it says, as of January 1, gas-powered leaf blowers will be permanently banned in Larchmont, and electric leaf blowers will be limited to the month of April for spring cleanup and October 15th through December 15th for fall cleanup. So they're not completely, gas blowers are completely banned. Electric blowers are very limited.
Mhm. Is that 2022 or 2023? I thought it was.
It is next year.
It actually starts.
January 2022. That's wonderful.
Okay, that's nice.
That's a nice ordinance.
Yeah, I think it's Irvington that's 2023.
I think it's Irvington that's 2023. Yeah.
Got it.
Put the link in the chat.
Oh, thanks.
Great. Okay. That's good. Okay. Well, we have our work cut out for us. But thank you, Jonathan, for helping to, volunteering to help and for bringing that up, because it's an important issue that we're all concerned about. Okay, so landscaping committee. Mimi, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Thank you, Rachel.
Sure.
I have one thing to add. I was at a webinar with the woman from Larchmont who spearheaded their initiative. And one thing that they did to help educate homeowners was to put information on doorknob hangers, because it's illegal to put things in a mailbox. But they did circulate things that way because they said a lot of homeowners were simply ignorant of what their landscapers were doing. And not everyone, for instance, reads what's on the village website, but they apparently did find this to be effective to some point. So it's just something to throw in there.
Sounds great.
Regarding landscaping, we have a couple of projects in the works. I had a very productive meeting with Anthony of the Parks Department at Sarah Michaels Park a few weeks ago, and we basically spent quite a bit of time laying out a preliminary plan for a pollinator garden there. What we ended up with is the idea of having a long horizontal strip that goes along the frontage of Sarah Michaels, where you currently have barren lawn. It's relatively close to the street and sidewalk, so it'll be easy for him to water. The size is approximately 60 feet long by 5 feet wide, so you get a lot of frontage without having to create a huge garden space. And then his suggestion was that we do that this year after we go through all the process, and hopefully it's approved. And then next year we could add on 2 wings on each side to increase the length so you get more frontage of approximately 150 feet on each side, so that the whole front of the park has a nice planting of plants that will give good visuals, and yet it's going to be easy upkeep. And I plan to write up a proposal along with landscape planning sketches that we could submit to the rec committee. I believe that's the process, Rich, and then subsequently to the board of to the town. So yeah, he and I worked hand in hand on that. We wanted something workable, that's easy, that is going to be low maintenance for all of us, and yet beautify the park. So that was good.
Can I ask you something on that, Mimi? When you said this year, you mean this fiscal year? Are you talking about this spring of
Right. I want to get this
2022?
Yes, I want to get this planted in 2022. It sounds like strange saying that year, but yes. So I guess we could do the proposal, anytime. I simply, have to get a little proposal together, as we
Great.
did for Patriots Park.
Great.
Okay.
Let us know if you need help with that. If there's anything,
Okay.
you probably don't, but if you do, we would like to help you.
Excellent. Well,
Okay.
I'm always happy for help.
Okay.
Secondly, we are having a winter milkweed planting workshop and seed giveaway for the children at Warner Library on January the 8th. And we're basically going to be setting up outdoors in the children's garden, have long table setups where we have all the materials needed for the kids and kids of all ages, adults included, to get milkweed and other native seeds, potting soil, and the little containers to plant them in, and get some winter planting going on the spot, because all of these plants need basically 2 to 3 months of cold stratification. And when they sprout in the spring, the kids will be able to plant them in the ground, either in their homes, or perhaps we'll find areas, maybe we can even find places on village property where we could do a little area so that, we have our gardens going. The library is working with us on this, and also the Sleepy Hollow Junior Honor Society reached out, and they're actively involved. Their kids are going to be participating in creating educational materials and in volunteering the day of the event. So it's a good way, I think, to reach into the community.
That's great. Can you leave those pots outside on your stoop?
Absolutely. And here, I'm sorry, I don't have one right here to show you what I need. I'm putting a call out now. Those clear plastic salad containers that grapes come in, that salad greens come in, they're about 4 or 5 inches high and wide, right? They're all clear. That's what we're looking for. They make mini greenhouses. You put slits in the bottom, the top, put your seeds and soil in, and you leave them outside all winter. Couldn't be easier. They don't take up.
They have holes in them, those containers.
Some of them do, yes. The salad containers don't, but the ones that do. And so I would ask anyone to please start collecting those for us. And, Rich, I could send you a shot if you could ask around Village Hall if people could maybe keep some for us, or we could pick them up. Because that's really, then we'll purchase the potting soil and we have the seeds. And that's about it.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen those containers, but we'll try to see what we can do. And maybe there's
All
things
right.
we can.
They're rectangular, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
it-
clamshells that.
So
Yeah.
the strawberries come in them too?
Okay.
Yes.
Those are smaller ones, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
All
maybe
your-
Do you use the shallow ones? They're like only like this big, like for raspberries? Or are they too
No,
small?
those are too small.
Okay.
You need at least, you need about 3 or 4 inches of depth. Like all the organic salad greens or the non-organic salad greens, they have those clear clamshells. Grapes have them, kiwis, strawberries, the deeper fruit containers. Yeah.
Maybe where should we bring them?
Where should we bring them? Well, I guess I'll take them. So if you get them, we're going to be doing this on January the 8th.
Okay.
Yeah, just give me an email and we'll manage to get together and pick them up.
Well, we can drop them on your porch too.
About how many do you need?
Well, we don't know how many participants we're going to have. I would rather have more than less, and we can always throw them in recycling. So whatever you can get, please bring.
Mimi, I had a note to myself to reach out to Patty about the milkweed thing, but it sounds like you've already gotten that done, right?
Yes, she and I are in communication and we have it scheduled. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. to noon. And we have
We're
a
always
little,
taking note number 3.
it's one off your list, Dean. Okay.
By the way, I put in the notes of the agenda notes that are being taken at the end of the landscaping thing, a link to the breakfast table topic discussion at the NICEC conference regarding leaf blowers by Larchmont. So anybody who would like to watch that video, she goes over in great detail the whole process that they went through to get their leaf blower ban in place. So Jonathan, you might be interested in looking at that.
Oh, it's great, Dean, thanks.
What I got from listening to her was that it is a full-time occupation. You need a couple of people who are dedicated to nothing else than the leaf blower cause, because it's really all encompassing. It can be done.
It's great.
And thirdly, on landscaping, Kirsten and I are having a chat that we're planning to develop a plan for reaching out to some of our local businesses to promote sustainable landscaping and pollinator plantings within our community. And we'd like to put together something very simple, maybe a few things that the businesses could do, such as plant natives, plant a native tree, don't use pesticides, mulch leaves instead of blow, and to get some kind of signage going that recognizes the business as a sustainable partner or sustainable landscape partner, and kind of, spark a few things in our business community. And also by doing this, my thought is that you create a demand, and it's kind of a give and take with landscapers. If you have larger clients asking for certain services, they get on the radar. And this is taking the carrot approach. But that's something I'm mulling over, and I hope that we can work on that over the next few months and then present to the chamber in the spring.
Mimi and Kirsten, we've talked about this in the past, not specifically around landscaping and sustainable garden practices, but just engaging our local businesses to be more engaged from a sustainability perspective, whether it's lighting, whether it's energy. And so I'm wondering, I don't want to, like, if you're doing this, I don't want to take you off path, but I'm wondering if there's kind of a larger thing here with business engagement. So I'm just throwing it out there because I don't want to, like, if you're already in it, I want you to do it, and I don't want you to slow down because I think it's great. But I know there's a lot of engagement that we haven't done with our businesses that I think that we probably could, but it would take time.
Yes, I think, I guess my thing is that I see the need to focus.
Yeah.
At least from my perspective, I prefer to focus. And my focus has been on pollinators and landscaping, so that's where I'm going to be coming from.
Yeah.
And also, sustainable landscaping is interesting. It's really not on the map for a lot of businesses when they talk about sustainability, which is a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
But it's one of the easiest and most cost-effective to actually do. So I'm thinking it would be a good thing, and it would certainly be a good thing for pollinators.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a great idea. So like I said, I don't want to slow you down. I do want to, I'm just thinking in the back of my head of the value of engaging with businesses on the overall effort.
Mimi, are you basically talking about businesses that have a square in front of their building where they have a tree or plants, or are you thinking of like putting containers or like a lot of businesses just have sidewalk in front of them?
I think that when I talk about, we have a lot of larger businesses that have large campuses that are all lawn. We have larger companies here in Terrytown that have really large campuses, and
You
that's
mean
really
like Regeneron or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Not in the inner city.
I'm not ruling out anybody. We're gonna, if we make a presentation, we'll see who responds. We welcome everyone. A container is valuable, a large lawn is valuable, we'll see where it goes.
Mhm.
But I think signage is important. For instance, Key Bank is already participating, and I promised that we would get him a sign by spring. They dedicated funds and did pollinator plantings on their property. And I don't know if it's a mistake, but when I last went by, they also had nice leaves around all the perennial beds. So that was kind of encouraging amidst all the blowers in other areas of town. But, a step at a time.
So, Mimi, I'm not sure if you covered it, but are we dropping the whole idea about the Metro North?
I haven't dropped it. Rich is following through on that.
Okay, great. That's great.
So I don't know if you have any updates on that or not.
Not at this time. It's been a busy past month, so it is on my list to do.
Great.
But they wanted to communicate with the village, Rachel. That was the
I
last.
see.
Mhm.
Okay, that sounds great. Let's see. So any questions or comments for Mimi and the landscaping committee?
What's this note here about update on live Christmas trees?
Oh, I was hoping Cynthia might be attending. She wrote an article about live Christmas trees. She was doing some research, and I just wanted to see if she had anything else to add other than what she added in her article.
Got it.
Unfortunately, it got here too late to put in the newsletter, but we're going to put it on the website. And I think, Rachel, you have a good idea that might be a good idea to give it to Hudson Independent as a.
Dean, I think you might be mixing up Annie's article because
Yeah.
Cynthia's article is in the newsletter. It's about the live Christmas trees.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking
That's
of Annie's.
okay. Yep, no worries. No, I thought it was a good article. She basically, we were just encouraging people to buy to consider live Christmas trees if possible, and then plant them.
Yeah.
And her idea of buying a small one and moving it into a larger pot every year was also a good idea until it gets too big. So yeah, I thought that was great. Let's see. And Kirsten, do you have anything to add?
No, I think Mimi mentioned it. I mean, I don't know. I saw on the agenda the vandalism. So when we were out maybe 2 weekends ago, doing some pruning in the tree wells, it looked as if some of the tree wells got destroyed, basically. But that's maybe later on the agenda.
Mhm.
Actually,
Well,
no, this is the perfect time for it. I'm sorry, I
time for
wasn't
it.
looking at the agenda. Yeah, and not only just some of the plants, right? All of the plants ended up being removed in front of the CVS and old Mrs. Green's property.
Yep. And
Um,
the police are currently investigating it, but so we don't know who did it. There's been some news articles posted online about it, but it's not resolved yet. But we will be replanting them one way or the other.
it seems, yeah,
In the spring, obviously.
yeah. It's unfortunate. I mean, it was sort of a clean job, so it looks like it was done by someone who had a, was doing it on purpose and was hired to do it almost. It didn't look like someone walking by just grabbing plants out of the planters.
Yeah, Rachel, that's an excellent point. There was no plant material left, and the dirt was actually left smooth and clean. So it almost looks like landscapers did it. It was extremely neatly done.
Right.
I did check. We spoke directly to Ed Coco, who checked with his people, and he said they did. The people he spoke to said that they didn't do it, which, I mean, to me, honestly, it stands against reason. But if they told them they didn't do it and they never even had a chance to get out there, that's unusual. But I don't know who else would have done it.
Rich, I agree with you. I looked at the spaces again, and they had actually left, for instance, in a couple of them, they left the lavender plant and a tiny tuft of grass, which might be recognizable to, say, a landscaper as something that would be evergreen. They had even gone so far as to take out the little hyssop plants that were near the big tree at the very end, but nothing on any of the other tree wells were touched. So, I think it's miscommunication amongst the landscape team on some level, but hopefully going forward, we can communicate clearly to prevent this from happening again.
It seems crazy. Verity, do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I wasn't able to tell from the pictures, so I was wondering if you could help me understand, were the plants pulled out completely so that the roots are gone? Or were they did they have the tops cut off them?
It's hard to tell, Verity. Some of them were uprooted. When Kristen and I were looking, we actually saw roots on the top of them, which looks like they were pulled out so that the root came out with them. Some of them were cut, like the old daylilies that have been there forever, and they're almost impossible to take out. They had just been whacked off. But, I didn't dig down, but when you cut a coneflower or dig it up to the ground, it's not going to come back.
Right.
Well,
I don't think.
I don't know. I'd be interested to, given how late it is in the season, some of them may come back if they have roots and bulbs left.
We would hope so.
So fingers crossed for the spring.
That would be great. Yeah.
So some of the perennials are actually biennials, right, Mimi, that rely on the seeds being sprouted, or are they all root perennials we have?
Well, I mean, most of them I think that we planted are basically root perennials. I mean, some of them will self-seed, but I've found a lot of them, it's not that easy for natives to, rapidly self-seed. Some of them do, like milkweeds, but we didn't have those. We had, other things. I really don't know. It's speculative. We'll see. We'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll be able to replant.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you guys all feel that we should, I mean, to me, it seems a little strange to put ourselves in that position again.
Well, I don't think it's a huge investment to put little plants back into those containers. It wasn't the whole street. It was just that one location.
I thought it was a huge investment. Wasn't it like $800 in plants, Mimi?
I think it was about $550 to $600.
Yeah. So in terms of investment, Rachel, we can take that out of the tree and landscaping fund. So we can do some good things with that and redo it.
Okay, great.
Saying $500 worth of plants were stolen? Or taken or removed or killed?
I would say, and I don't think somebody took them and replanted them. I think they were just removed.
Right, but $500 worth, that's more than I just saw those beds in front of CVS. Anyway.
That's several $100s right there.
I kept an itinerary of our expenses from Rosedale the day that I went with Anthony to purchase plants, because we purchased for our gardens and Broadway the same day. So I enumerated the expenses. And most of the plants that we purchased that day, actually all of the plants, were for those spaces in front of the 3 spaces in front of CVS and et cetera, because that was the focal point for the street. Anthony and I had already ordered the little plant plugs for the other spots that we subsequently planted. So it was pretty easy to come up with a number. Oh, and by the way, Rich, hopefully we can, all get together, Anthony and Bill and I, and reconcile the pollinator account over the next month or so. But I do have that record, and I would say it was about 500 or so. And then we went back one more time to get plants for the 2 additional barrels that the placemaking committee had requested, and that was another 150. So, we'll see what comes back. So I would say 550 to 650.
Wow.
Yeah, it's sad. Does anyone else have any questions or comments about that? And welcome, Kevin Lustig.
Yes, hi. How are you doing? I'm
How
the
are
harbor
you?
harbor master in the village for the last 33 years. I just wanted to say hello
That's
and
great.
commend everybody on the excellent job you guys do on the riverfront. And I was down there in the spring and took some pictures of you all working. And I have the Coast Guard Auxiliary looking at your fishing line receptacles, and they empty them once in a while. And I think they last told me they were, I think down in the G lot it was full. So anyway,
Wow, that's great.
I just wanted to conclude the comments here by saying what a great job you all do down there, and and everywhere else in the village for that matter. So
Well, thank
anyway,
you.
my hat's off to you all.
Thank you so much. Well, we always
Kevin.
are willing. We're always looking for volunteers and feedback. So so anytime you want to reach out, we're all ears.
Okay, if anybody wants to take a look at the maps, I'll send them to you. You have all the streams that empty out into the Hudson, show you up where all the outfalls are, where all the potential problems could be. But luckily, we've had a good year. There's no discharges this year of any great proportion. So anyway, on an environmental standpoint, that's my job out there. I keep everything clean in the water. So
Great. Well, thank you for all your hard work.
thank you. Okay.
Great. So I'm happy that you're joining us tonight, and feel free to pipe in whenever you have a comment or question. And Verity, by the way, you don't need to raise your hand. We're sort of an informal group, so you can feel free to just
Okay.
chime in.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's see, where did we go? Okay, so that was the landscaping committee. So Mimi, was that everything? Thank you. Okay. So, wow, these are all the minutes. Sorry about that. Energy and Conservation, Dean.
Right. Okay. I had a little fun outing today. Actually, it was rather enjoyable for me. We're in Terrytown. We're looking at the possibility of putting a solar canopy over parking lots down by the river. And we had a meeting last week with somebody from NIPA and a developer. Rich was on the call there too, and we're looking into getting buy-in from the Board of Trustees on a project like that, which would generate power for not only for the local village facilities potentially, but also it's another community solar project where the solar power will be resold to homeowners and businesses in the vicinity or even anywhere. Community solar is one of the most important build outs of solar we can do, because they're large projects. They're not just, you know, little rooftops, but they're parking lots and such. And today we had scheduled to meet with the developer that was on the call with us, whose name is, I always forget names, David Eisenbud, and also the fellow from NIPA, who's Ben Quozo. They are doing some projects now in White Plains, large-scale solar installations. And if I can share my screen, I have some really kind of cool pictures.
You should be able to, your co-host.
Yeah, let me do that.
What does NIPA stand for?
The New York Power Authority, which is the one that sells power to the villages, but they're also in charge of other large-scale renewable generation projects around the state. Okay, hold on, let me just share this.
So which parking lots are we talking about?
These are off of Mamaroneck Avenue in White Plains. One of them is actually at the DPW, and the other one is a little ways off of Mamaroneck Avenue, just sort of near downtown.
Okay, I'm sorry. And which parking lots are you proposing for this village?
It would be probably lot C and D and E down, sort of going from the Metro North tracks toward Pearson Park down there.
So all of those parking lots?
Yeah, they're looking, you know, maybe not all of them. Maybe they'll start with one and see how it goes. But, you know, we're looking at doing it on the parking lots if at all possible. There are some here it is, show all windows. I'm just trying to find the right one. There's some, you know, possibility of problems making sure that we have enough power capacity with Con Edison there. And also, you know, the parking lots are going to have to be shifted around during construction so that people have to park elsewhere. But I imagine I don't know, Rich, can the project like this be initiated with just Board of Trustees approval, or does it need to go through public hearings?
That's a good question. I don't think it has to do anything more than Board of Trustees approval, but I'd really have to talk to our village attorney and see if we have to go through any other kind of a review and approval. These kind of installations are commonly found on what I want to say, parkland. You know, I've certainly seen them out in Robert Moses, you know, and other, you know, state parks down on the beaches,
Right.
although they are sides of the parking lots. But you know, I would have to check with the village attorney what she recommends in terms of the law and what we have to comply with.
All right, so let me just quickly narrate these pictures here. On the left side, you see one that's being constructed now. That's on that parking lot off of Mamaroneck Avenue. It's a White Plains municipal parking lot. It's actually at the top floor of a structure. There's a lower level as well. And excuse me, I thought somebody asked something. And they're also doing battery energy storage. You see here, there's a Tesla branded packaged energy storage. So there'll be probably, I think, half a megawatt hour is going to be stored in lithium cells in there to provide continuous power during night hours or times when the sun's not shining. And they'll use excess power from the arrays to charge those batteries. This is the other side of that parking lot. That's just on a ground level parking lot. This is kind of similar to what we would be doing in Terrytown, although in Terrytown they're proposing a single slanted array rather than that's only one side over rather than a T-shaped array going over the parking areas. There'll be different things for different purposes. The interesting thing about this is the snow, when it melts, goes into eaves troughs that are underneath here and then goes down into a drain. So there's actually no snow that will be on the cars that are underneath the canopies, and no snow removal needed. And the rain also drains off there. and they built piers to support this so that cars aren't going to run into the infrastructure in case there's an accident. This is that's the two guys, the developer and the guy from NIPA talking there. They're actually right now in front of the solar array that's at the DPW yard, which is on a landfill. And the landfill, they're not allowed to pierce the cap that's on the landfill. So they actually have these solar arrays are on ballasted concrete blocks, basically supporting them, that are on the surface, and they're designed to withstand any kind of wind or rainstorms, even though they're not anchored into the ground. And you can see this is the other side of that that's just being constructed now. It's a huge, like multi-acres of solar arrays that are going to be above the actual DPW yard, and they're actually going to shield the DPW yard from weather. So it's basically sort of like an inside structure in a way, even though it won't have walls on the outside. And those boxes there are solar panels that are designed in Germany, and I believe they're built in California. This is another view of the panels that are ground mounted and the interior of that structure. It's really quite an amazing project. Since they can't dig in the ground from those panels that are mounted on the landfill, they actually have these troughs that the electrical lines are going to be come into the switching gear and the Con Edison interconnect that are on the surface rather than underground. But normally they put them underground, and there's some more views of the crates of solar panels. There's one that was damaged. You can see some cracking here, but obviously they make sure they're all good. And this is what the ground mounted array looks like. And you can see how far back it goes. Again, it's immense. So they've got quite a big thing going on there. And we hope to do something on a smaller scale in Terrytown that will help towards our New York State efforts to build renewable infrastructure to get us to 70% renewables by 2030.
Dean, I have a question.
Yep.
The ones that you're proposing for the Terrytown lots, do you think maybe there would be some car charging connected to those?
Well, we're building out car charging infrastructure anyway. That'll be a separate, connection, a separate project from solar.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure that as time goes on, we'll continue to build out. And probably we don't have any high power DC, high fast chargers in Terrytown yet. I mean, not on the village property, but I imagine that'll be proposed because, as long as the village is willing to provide the space for that, there are plenty of developers that want to put in charging stations. And it's something that we can get grants for doing that as well.
I would like another fast charger in Terrytown.
Yeah, I know.
So, Dean, was Tesla involved in the cost of were they helping to finance one of the project that you showed us?
No, I don't believe so. I think they just sold the battery energy storage. They're in that business of selling that.
I see.
Projects that want battery storage.
I see.
One of the issues that may come up, we may put battery storage in on one of the parking lot structures. It's the developer sort of proposed that idea, but right now Terrytown doesn't have the building codes in place for battery energy storage. And I wanted to talk to Rich offline at some point about proposing that to the Board of Trustees, because there's boilerplate zoning, or I should say building codes available for putting that into effect. It includes a lot of things like fire accommodations for firefighting in case there's fires and that kind of thing has to be done.
So, Dean, is this the same developer that has been working with Sleepy Hollow that Jared was telling us about?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so, though. I know that they're not involved with the one in Croton. There's also one going up on the parking lots at Croton Point at the landfill there. Not on the landfill like this one was, but parking lot area. And that's a different company that's doing that. But there are various companies that want to build out community solar, because it's a win-win. You know, it's people get lower costs on their energy bills, as well as the developer making money, and then the village gets a portion of that as well, because they basically lease the land to the developer to use for the solar project.
Oh, it's great. I guess the only question is if the village has committed to keeping that property a parking lot for X amount of years. Like if there was any plan to do anything else in the parking lot, and you put these solar panels up. I mean,
no, they're not going to change the use of the parking lot. The parking lot will still be usable for parking, as you could see there. But during construction, they have to move some cars around. They're not going to be able to park at the same area that's being built. That's and Rich says that.
Well, I guess eventually it would be nice if some of those parking lots were converted into parks, for example, right? Or consolidated and made a low level but multi-level structure or whatever. But
you mean as more people are working from home?
There's just a lot of asphalt down there.
And it's empty. A lot of it is empty at the moment. Yeah.
But anyway, that's great. That's great information, Dean. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Dean about that? Oh, and Dean, sorry, go ahead, Verdi.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say I'm excited about this project. I started working at MasterCard about a year ago and only just started going to the office recently, and have been going into the parking lot and looking at this thing, and I eventually realized it's a solar array. So and it's actually quite beautiful, because it's this big sweeping, it's sort of semicircular. So I'd be happy to take photos of it.
Well, that's going to be one of the roadblocks we may run into here in Terrytown, because these parking lots they're in the view shed from some of the residential buildings down there. And they're not going to block anybody's view from the river, but people may just not want to see solar panels out their windows, and they may speak out against it. So we'll have to see whether we have any community resistance to it. And I'll share these photos with Rich, because I know he's interested. He would have been there today if he could have made it. Anything? Let's see. So the other thing that we're just wanted to make sure that people are aware of, the Energy Smart Homes program is ongoing. It's going to be ongoing through April of next year, and there's a public information outreach session online happening on the 8th of December, next week. And also, then that's going to include some presentations by the contractors for Energy Smart Homes, as well as some people illustrating, there will be some case studies showing people that have already done this kind of thing and what it entails. And I think, Rachel, you said Lauren's going to be presenting at the C2 meeting?
Yes, on Monday.
Yep.
She's the guest speaker Monday morning at 8:30. The C2 meeting is the community coalition for local nonprofits and community groups. And we've been meeting on Zoom.
Yeah, and anybody can join that meeting, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So anybody that wants to hear from Lauren, who's the spearheading it from the Sustainable Westchester side of our effort, is good. Otherwise, you're welcome to register for the online outreach event that we're having on the 8th. And Lauren also made a presentation to the Board of Trustees at a public meeting week before last. And I thought it was very well done, very well received. So they're informed on what this is all about, and hopefully we'll, any kind of cooperation we need to get from the village to streamline installations that people are going to have will be eased by their being up to date on the program. And I just one last thing there is, I have not yet scheduled a meeting. Rich, you and I we were going to get together with a couple of people and talk about climate smart communities, and I was going to get together the documentation needs for a few of the actions that we need to take, but I haven't followed through on that yet, unfortunately.
Okay, who are the people you want to have at that meeting, Dean?
I think we have to have somebody from the planning board, I would guess, and somebody from DPW maybe, or not from DPW, maybe from the buildings department.
Dan?
At least somebody from the building department, because there's going to be lots of permitting involved with that.
Yeah, I would say really Dan. So
Yep.
planning board and anybody else? Do we need the village attorney or no?
I don't think so. Not at this point. Something comes up, we may involve her later.
Okay. Okay, so somebody from the planning board, Dan, you, me. If I'll put it on the top of my list to do. I got a few things that I'm under deadline for this week that I'm working on as we're meeting now too. But I'll get moving on that too.
Mm-hmm.
Try to do it before the end of the year.
Okay, great.
Great. Okay. I just dropped in the chat the C2 agenda for for Monday in case anyone wants to join. Okay, Dean, did you cover everything here? It felt like you had a lot to cover. Let's see.
I think I covered.
I guess you did.
Covered everything I had on my plate.
Great. Okay, perfect. So Zero Waste Committee. So Kathy, Carrie, and me. So Kathy, do you want to talk about the Waste Warrior effort that we've been doing at the TASH?
I'd love to. So the TASH Market Committee has spent an inordinate amount of time to get all the vendors to use compostable, industrial compostable containers and cardboard containers. And the public doesn't really know anything about this sort of thing. And they throw it into the recycling or the trash. And when you actually separate everything out, there's no or virtually no recycling and virtually no trash. And everything is industrially compostable. So this is pretty shocking and amazing, but we have a lot of educational work to do because the people that come to the market, most of them, they just are standing over here and they throw their trash and it lands wherever it lands, and they throw their dog stuff into the recycling container, or, they're just ambivalent about the concept of garbage. They're not thinking about it. So I'm not entirely sure how you educate people aside from standing next to those receptacles and saying, oh, excuse me, that's a container. If you look on the bottom, it's number 7 plastic that can go into the compostable because it's made of a corn or a plant material. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that I'm trying to think of how to get someone to stand next to those receptacles for the duration of the market. And the only thing I can think of is to basically go to the high school and say, I need 12 students. Each student spends 2 hours next to the receptacle, or the last student spends from 12:30 to 2:30 and helps to sort out wherever there was some misunderstanding. But if somebody's standing next to it, you're not going to have any sorting to do. So, Jenny, isn't there a Mrs. Pelletier or maybe it was one of our members, Gloria, right? Gloria is connected with the environmental club.
Yeah, she is, but then didn't somebody reach out to us, Rachel, recently, like in the past couple months?
Yes.
Middle school,
Yes.
a teacher or something wanting to get more involved?
Is
Yes.
it a Mrs. Peltier?
No, it isn't. And I reached out to him and told him we were looking for waste warriors, but unfortunately it was like the day before the market that I had reached out to him, and it was like the last day of the market. So so it was a little bit late. But at least we have his contact information for the spring, or for the winter market.
Do you want to continue this through the winter market?
Well, I guess that's the question, if we have the bandwidth. The winter market is only 3 hours, and it's 9:30 to 12:30, and it's every other Saturday. So it's not every Saturday.
It's not a big deal.
But it's not as big of a hanging out kind of market. It's more of a transactional market. We do have a few prepared food vendors, but most people aren't like standing there eating on site and sitting around, because it's in a parking lot. So, and it's cold. So
how many receptacles are there?
Not as big of a deal. You know, it's a great question, because I can't even visualize where they are now that you said that. There's the one set close to, oh, Carrie, you know.
Last year there was like, sometimes there was one like right at the entrance, and sometimes it was there and sometimes it was not. And then I think there might have been another one like kind of when you get closer to the rec center building in that corner.
I think it's a moot point for the winter. I think based on what you just said, it doesn't really make sense to have someone standing there, because like you said, people aren't walking around and eating and then putting their tea containers into the trash.
There's still people there though, and they still generate trash. So, I mean, it's too cold, I think, to have someone sit there. But I think if we could come up with like some really nice signs that say what goes in each bin, and have it like simple, like these things go in here, or like, and like a big sign on top or something that says, stop, check what you got, or something like that. It could be worded way better, but if we can do something like that, I think if we had those on our trash cans, like 24/7 every day, whether there's a market or not, I think would help everything.
Yeah, stop and think.
Mm-hmm.
This goes in here. Stop and think, this goes in here. Stop and think, this goes in here. And you've got 3 containers: recycling, composting, and regular trash.
Yeah, not everyone's going to always read them, and then we'll still get some like cross-contamination of trash, but I think that would be a really big help. And I also want to thank you, Kathy, for coming and being there. And I think that it's really awesome that you're doing that. And I saw some teens there the last couple of weeks, and I thought it was just really great.
Thanks, Carrie. Thanks.
Kathy, how have people been receptive, or they roll their
Most
eyes?
people are like really interested, and they're thankful, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I see some people who are totally oblivious to the concept of separating trash, and they're just like, they're just like, oh, here, just take this. And they think that I'm the person who takes the trash and puts it in there. But most people are educated, and they understand, and they're like, oh, I didn't realize the number 7 is compostable, and oh, I didn't realize that these cardboard containers can go in the compost.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can use that interaction every time to add a little more information to the person. Yeah, these are not coated cardboard, and you know.
That's great.
Yeah. I was also working on some of them and talked to the kids. I tried to engage the child who was like standing with the adult and would sort of target, talk to them, so that the adult didn't feel like we were talking down to them. But hey, did you know that popsicle stick could be compostable because it's made from wood? But some people were kind of rude. Like we do have there is sort of a mixed group, and some people were sort of like, well, what do you want me to do then? You know, like they just wanted to throw their stuff away and didn't want to be harassed, you know,
Right.
but which we weren't trying to do.
Nobody was rude to me. I was.
Oh, I got a few, so I got them all.
No.
But once again, Rich, I know we keep talking about this and it's getting boring, but it doesn't help that the trash bins all have black tops with no markings. So even though there's a blue bin, it's got a black top with no marking next to the black bin with a black bin with a top with no marking. So it's not surprising that everything is being thrown away. And it's in all of the parks I've noticed have that same style of just no markings at all.
Can we get stickers or something?
We haven't ordered them yet. I found the stickers, but
We'll find a location for us to order them from. We'll work on that.
Cool.
well, Rich, my question is actually, should I just
Hold on, let's let Rachel finish. Kathy, hold on, let's let Rachel finish speaking.
Rich, I was just wondering if I should go ahead and order them if they can sell it to me with no tax and I can request a reimbursement.
No, let's just order it through the village, and
Okay.
that way we can process it. You know, we'll take care of it. But Kathy, what was your question?
If you just put blue lids on the recycling containers, that'll go a long way.
Anthony and the guys would have to repaint them. You know, in cold weather, that's tough. But I'm happy to look into the decal, and you know, think about the hours of work and taking them off and putting them in a warm place or something. The stickers could be a lot faster. I'll talk and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Perfect. Carrie, do you have anything to add for the Zero Waste Committee?
I think that was all I really had offhand. I've been too busy to do anything with you guys, really. Sorry.
Any clothing swaps in the near future?
I haven't had one planned yet. I'd like to find a location in Terrytown and do the next one in Terrytown. So hopefully, I'm thinking maybe like January or February, probably more like February, maybe even March, just because it's cold and
Yeah.
I've been very overwhelmed with too much going on right now. So maybe February or March, maybe.
Great.
No, you know, we're planning on having a repair cafe in either Terrytown or Irvington or somewhere between the two of them in the spring. And I wonder if we might combine efforts there and do a clothing swap at the same time as a repair cafe. It all has to do with keeping things in operation and keeping things out of the trash. So
that's a good idea, because then we can accept things that aren't necessarily, like, we can accept broken items.
Yeah.
And they could just be fixed in the repair cafe and then brought over to the swap, maybe.
That's interesting. Yeah, could do that.
Possibly. But I mean, I feel like we might get an overwhelm of broken stuff, but that's what we're there for, right?
Okay. Okay, so let's see. Sorry, where are we?
Community outreach.
Community outreach.
Okay, so community outreach. I guess that's Jenny.
I'm sitting here being like, oh, I don't know. That is Jenny. I don't know. I don't have an update right now. I'm sorry. I've been not as involved as I want to be. So I don't know if anybody else is working on stuff. But
well, our last tabling event was great. It was Barbara. Thank you so much for coming and helping. So it was Barbara and Cynthia and me, and then Mimi stopped by and dropped off some seeds and said hello. But I thought it was great. I mean, we definitely, there's so many people in the village who are interested and want to learn more, and they're new to the area, and they're excited. So I think it's important that we keep showing up and keep being available and putting ourselves out there. But Jenny, I guess we should talk about whether we want to do what we want to do for Earth Day, because that's going to be here before we know it. And if we want to do an October, what is our fest called? Eco Fest at the Eco Fair at the end of the year for 2022. So we should start thinking about all that stuff. And we also talked about a film that would be, I guess, through community outreach group, I would think.
Like a film series? Is that?
Well, it was a specific film that I found. Now I'm trying to remember the whole. Oh, it was on invasives, wasn't it, Kathy?
The one.
I sent it to you.
The one that you sent it to me.
I sent it to the group. Sorry, I can't remember what it was. It was something my sister had seen, and she said it was great.
Oh, my sister, that was about agriculture. That was about no-till. It was about how we can actually help the climate and improve the soil. And it was the whole story of no-till. I forget the name of the movie, but
that's yeah, I think that's the one we saw at
you've seen it. You said
Irvington, yeah.
I was very much blown away by it.
Okay, that's not the film that. Anyway, sorry guys, that's not the film that I sent recently, and I said, "Oh, my sister saw this. This was great." And we were talking about showing it at the library, but Dean, you were saying they are closed at night, and so anyway, and we also talked about doing it in January instead of December. So, Mimi, did you have a comment?
Yes, you sent the link to the film on invasives the DEC had put out.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah, it was the invasives. And so, sorry, this we're having mind fogs here. So the landscape committee can work with the outreach committee on that and just to promote it if we pick a date and find a venue. And if the question is if we could do it at the library, even though they're closed at night, or if we need to find another.
It's just that we have to have a library staffer there on site.
Is there any interest on, I mean, I know we start with one, but is there any interest in bringing back the film series?
I think that would be great.
What's that?
We need somebody that's willing to take it on as a project. And,
I mean, I think maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think it was pretty straightforward. I mean, we came up with a list of movies we wanted. We had it monthly. Rachel made popcorn. We had somebody lead kind of a discussion at the end. I think it was pretty straightforward. I'm happy to do it.
Great. And there was some budget involved. And Maureen had gotten a grant and was able to fund some of those films, right, Dean?
Right. Actually, we have a DVD of one we never ended up showing. I think because COVID got in the way, we discontinued it. I have the movie Seed on DVD that we were going to show.
Okay. Oh, great. I think that's a great idea. I would love to do that. I mean, I think it's time. I mean, Rich, do you have any opinion about this one way or the other if we follow protocol? About having a film series, an environmental film series that would be indoors, but we would ask people to mask if they're, we would follow CDC protocol.
Well, I think we could try to work some things out, whether it's in the senior center or in the library, there's some different venues we could work on that.
Great.
Yeah, we had it before COVID, and we did it upstairs in the library, and it was great. I mean, it would, and I mean, I know the goal is probably to get it more full, but it was never full. So from a COVID guideline perspective, I think we were always kind of following that. But.
Yeah, it's a big enough room up there that people can. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rich. I talked over you.
Big room is probably best equipped to have a really nice setup and projection of some kind of movie or something like that with a nice big crowd allowed in there. So I think we can work on that.
Where's that, Rich? At the senior center or the library?
Top floor in the librry.
Yeah.
That's the multimedia room that we used before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's the expense you're thinking about? What do you have an estimate of what the cost would be?
So we're talking about doing a series. We have one of the films already. Some of the films cost $75 if they were like municipal or nonprofits. There was one film we had been looking at one point that was like 200. Some of them were free. So we're not talking like a huge amount of money for the whole series. It would be under $500 for the series.
You can definitely handle that.
Great. That's great. Okay. Thank you.
Could there also be an option for Zoom for the people if they didn't want to go out in the winter when it's cold, to have it virtual?
That's interesting.
Zoom
have an
doesn't lend
idea.
itself to movies, but
You know, like older people that, you know.
Most of the movies that we chose were already streaming somewhere for the most part. So like on whether it be like Netflix or Hulu, or they could find it on YouTube, most of them. So
Well,
I think that,
there would be, but the thing is, there would be a discussion.
Yeah,
after.
but that would be a part that someone could zoom in for the discussion after.
Yeah. I think Zoom would be good for the discussion. I don't think it's good for the movie, Barbara, because I think it would be hard for the Zoom experience to like sound and all that kind of stuff. But I think we might be able to try and do something. We
It just might bring in more people.
I think that's
You could publicize the link to whatever streaming service is showing that movie, and it may require a payment on the part of the person watching, but you could put all that information in the advertisement or the marketing material.
yeah, I mean, I think when you get a license to show a movie, it's a specific, you have to show it in a specific location. I was just thinking, you know, we could put it up on our YouTube channel and people could watch it at home from our YouTube channel while the people were, you know, doing a hybrid event where people in person were doing it. But I think that would require 2 licenses. I don't know. Could look into it.
Well, I love that idea, Barbara. If we could figure it out. I mean, but like Carrie said, a lot of the films we were looking at were streamable for individuals, but we had to buy the license to show them to the public. So if we got the license for the public viewing, people could, you know, watch it themselves on their own Netflix or HBO or whatever, or whatever it is, Amazon. And then tune in for the conversation. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, great.
At least give them that option.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great. So Jenny, we will convene, or you'll be in touch with the group, and we have some new people here. So if anyone is interested in joining the outreach committee group, you can reach out to Jenny or to me in the meantime, or put a note in the chat now and Jenny will contact you.
Count me in, Jenny, too.
You're already counted.
Yeah, I think the people who are already in from last time.
The former committee, but if you were not on it and you'd like to be a part of it.
Right.
Oh. Also, I have a couple other ideas that I'll just talk to you about later instead of like clogging up this meeting with that.
Great. Oh, good.
Awesome.
Kirsten is interested. That's amazing. Okay, so let's see. Village report. And Rich, I just I just had looked at the last month's meeting and picked up things that we wanted to follow up on. But obviously, if you have other things you want to address this group with, we are excited to hear what you have.
Okay. So, Dean, you know, I almost feel like you should give the update on the Energy Smart Westchester program, because you've probably been attending all the meetings and stuff. So I'll skip over that, but.
Right, well, I had mentioned it. There's not a whole lot to say, but okay.
No, that's fine. Rachel, we just covered the garbage and recycle bins. I'll make sure that, you know, either Parks Department or the Treasurer's Office will take care of ordering those decals. Unified solar permit update. You know, I had a discussion with Kathy and Dan prior to Josh's departure, but I need to have another discussion with them because I thought this had actually been resolved.
You had mentioned it at the meeting where Lauren had made her presentation that it was, but Kathy was right there, and you had, I think she said it was it's being finally drawn up or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Status. Okay, so I'm going to say status and actions on that.
Does that include the setback issue?
Setback issue.
No, well,
Well, that's for solar, I'm talking geothermal.
yeah, this was just
We
solar.
had some, Kathy, we had some discussions about that, and I think it will require some code changes if we're going to allow something like that.
But you're gonna work on that?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I'm going to make a note of that point too. The question about the
Geothermal siting of the, digging the holes that they dig.
they said there was actually be no protrusions above ground in the setback.
There are no protrusions, but they still don't allow it, so I don't know what that's about. Nothing's sticking up. It's all underground.
Yeah, that point was made by the fellow from Dandelion at Lauren's presentation, that other villages have allowed it because there's no, it's not a structure. And what their guideline is, as long as it's more than 10 feet away from the property line. So if two adjacent homeowners are doing geothermal, they don't interfere with each other. But but Rich is right. The zoning has to be made explicit. It's just ambiguous as to whether that's considered a structure or not.
Okay, so that's on my to-do list for a future board work session.
Thank you.
Yep. Let's see, TEAC. Okay, next item is crosswalk repainting update. So Rachel, I did check with DPW on a lot of the crosswalks that have been destroyed by all the Con Ed work.
Okay.
Because of the cold weather, it's not possible to paint them before the winter time. If they did, people would just, vehicles would track the paint everywhere. So, Con Ed is just gonna destroy the village and make a mess over the next 1.5 to 2 years. But as soon as it's warm enough to repaint them in the spring, we'll do that.
Okay.
Textile recycling bin at food scraps bins.
So I think I sent you an email about that, and I don't know where I had put it a couple times, but I'm not sure if we talked about it at the last meeting or not. But it was an idea of Green Tree Recycling, who's our vendor for the TASH, our textile recycling vendor at the TASH, has these green boxes, and they're a nonprofit organization, and they have a lot of they work with a lot of great organizations. So I know we presented this a couple of years ago to the Board of Trustees, and you suggested that the village could make money on the textile recycling. This is not a money-making proposition. It's just like a goodwill sort of proposition.
And honestly, Rachel, the board has not been in favor of, to take a step back. They've been in favor of the food scraps because of the volume and the benefit and the potential overlap, if you want to say that, between parks and composting. But they did not want to pursue the whole thing about textile, setting up textile bins either in our parks or in our parking lots. There are actually quite a few textile bins around the village, especially out at the Bridge Plaza shopping center. So that's not something they really wanted to put on village property.
So is that something we can revisit? I mean, the work session I attended a couple of years ago, and I suggested, it seemed like the trustees were in favor. I mean, even Doug Zolo seemed like. I mean, it seemed like everyone at that meeting, but I know there's been turnover. So, is that something we could revisit?
We can try again if you want, but I would need a formal proposal from the company.
Okay.
Something in writing, a letter, an email, something like that, and explaining the program and giving us whatever, what's the benefit to the community, how it will all work. If there's no revenue to be realized, that's fine, but what's the benefit then? Why would the village get involved?
Okay. I mean, other than keeping things out of the waste stream that are now being thrown away. I mean, I
Yeah.
can ask him to put that in the, just to spell it out. That's
Well,
fine.
why would, just to ask the question, because I know the board's going to ask this, why would we want to go with a company that's making all the profit and the village doesn't get any fees? I know there are companies out there that do pay a fee to the municipalities. It's not going to be a lot. It might be $1,000 a year, or maybe, something in that ballpark. But, if that's a possibility, why would we do it for free? So
I mean,
there's got to be justification for that for the board to consider, if you follow me. Okay.
okay. I mean, right now we're not doing anything, and we have this nonprofit company who comes to the Tash on Saturdays every week, and people come and fill up that bin every week. So it just seems like a missed opportunity of us not. I mean, you're right. If you feel like the village could make money on it,
We need to resubmit it. So let's ask him for a proposal, and then we'll put something forward.
okay.
Yeah, and Rachel, we need to make it clear too that Green Tree recycles textiles in a way that's much more environmentally neutral and friendly than some of the other places where you can dump clothing, like at the Salvation Army. A lot of that stuff that they have gets shipped overseas, which costs money. It takes energy to do that, or it goes, correct me if I'm wrong, but Green Tree does a better job environmentally than the Goodwill and the
Right. Absolutely. And they hire local people. They hire people with special needs. That they are nonprofit. They support all these other nonprofits. But yeah, we can definitely give a presentation. Verity, do you have a question or comment?
Sorry, I've got some a little bit of background noise, but I just wanted to jump in and say I was wondering if the for-profit, the companies that provide a fee to the municipalities, are they for-profit? And this organization is nonprofit, right?
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay,
I
so again,
know I seem to recall there was some exposés a few years ago about those clothing bins, and that some organizations are better than others at actually recycling what's put in there.
But these aren't clothing bins. These are simply textiles that are discarded. So it's junky fabric, not clothing.
Well, and
they can take good stuff too, though, and then if it's good, they can reuse. They'll send it off to a place that can reuse the good clothing. But they can take like hats, purses, belts, clothing, like
shoes. They take
linens,
sneakers,
shoes, yeah,
shoes.
So there's like a lot more than just like an old raggedy T-shirt like that you can put in there. There's a lot more that can go in there that you'll save from the landfill.
Right. And like Carrie said, they do sort everything. So if it's wearable and clean, they will donate it to their nonprofit partners. So they ask us, like, what nonprofit partner do you want to donate to? So so we always recommend a local organization here. So anyway, okay.
okay, so we'll follow.
Okay, that's great, Rich.
Okay, and then I think there are a couple more things. The locked gate at the school, I know I spoke to Chris about that over the summer, but I called him after the last meeting on November 4th, and I left, and he never got back to me. So, I'm going to make a note to call Chris again and try to get him to give me an update on.
I was driving around the school yesterday, had some business there, and I took a good look at how they're managing that sports field. They have that entire sports field gated, surrounded with gates that I presume are closed at dusk, but they open them during the day. So the least that they can do is open that door to the gate where the trail joins the OC, Old Croton Aqueduct Trail, that corner. The least they can do is open that during the day, and then they can close it at night because they close the rest of their sports field at night. They've put in brand new fencing all the way around that. I hadn't noticed that before, but I noticed it yesterday.
The gates close during school too. So it's only open before and after school.
What? That gate?
That gate off
Well, that
over.
gate is closed during school hours?
Yep.
Oh,
Try to drive through there one day. You'll be like, ah.
Oh, no, you mean the gate at the end of the parking lot. Turn on
the driving gate.
Oh,
you mean the gate to the road, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the gate to the sports field. So I think during the day, those gates are open. So if you were going to come down the staircase with your bicycle and then bike right straight through the sports field, you can do that during the day. At night, you're stuck. You can't use, in other words, you can't use that path between the North-South County Trailway and the Old Croton Aqueduct Trail at night because there's no way for you to get through the school property. You're going to hit a fence no matter where you go because they close off the sports field, which you can access, but you can't get out of it. So people don't really take that path at night, but they should be encouraged to take it during the day to get off the road, to get out of their cars, to walk or to bicycle. And it has a steep slope, but so do the roads in Terrytown. So if you have a bike, you probably, if you don't want to go down the hill, you just walk it down. Anyway, the point is that if they open the gates to their sports field, just the walk-in gates, they should open the side gate for hikers during the day. And Rich, I'd be happy to join you if you sit down with Dr. Borsari and bring a little bit of the background material. We've spent the bulk of 20 years trying to get this trail to be a functional trail. I mean, it has when we first moved here 21 years ago, people were starting to think about the possibility of a developer developing houses and opening up the possibility of the village requiring an easement through this, through their properties. And so we got all that, and the school district said it would be fine to use their property to connect. And now the school has changed their mind. So there's a really long story.
I think if I might interject here, you really have to make sure, if you sit down with Borsari, he may say the same thing that he said when I took a walk through the property with him last year or earlier, when was it, end of last year, that unless he has renewed his discussion with the police department, he's just going to defer and saying, we're just following the orders of the police department, following the recommendations of the police department. You really got to open that door again. That's what's going to get a change. You can't do it just with Borsari because he's going to defer.
Dean,
Well,
I'm
they
sorry.
open up
What door, Dean? What are you talking about? What door does she have to open?
To get a discussion between the police department in Sleepy Hollow and the school district, so that the police department can say, yeah, okay, we're removing our recommendation to block that gate because people can get in the sports field anyway, and it doesn't make a difference. That's what's got to happen, I think, in order to get that hiker's gate to be opened.
Right.
Because the school's not going to do it if the police recommend to lock it, period.
Well, I think at the last meeting we said that Rich was going to be in touch with the Sleepy Hollow administration to talk to their police department because it was the Sleepy Hollow police.
No, I wasn't going to contact the Sleepy Hollow police. I was just going to call Chris Borsari. But if I'm going to call the police, then I would need to involve our police chief because I've never had any dealings with the Sleepy Hollow police chief.
Right. Exactly. Or I was thinking you would call Anthony Giacchio. Well, I mean, whatever makes sense. But I agree with Dean. The problem is that the police department in Sleepy Hollow made this recommendation, and that's what the school is adhering to at this point.
Yep.
How do we move forward?
Well, I will reach out to Chris and talk to him again and try to, see if I can get some, we can't just let this slide to nothing. So I'll follow up with him.
We cannot let it slide because we want a walkable community, and this is so important. This connecting trail is so important.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. And then, Rich, are we on the agenda for December 20th?
I can put you on for that meeting. Just gonna make a note of that.
That's a public meeting though, not a work session, right?
Well, which would you all rather do? A report to the board in work session or a report to the board at a public meeting?
At a public meeting. We Dean, the whole point was for us to sort of tell the public what we're doing, and we decided it would also be our year-end report to the Board of Trustees. So it's going to be very brief, but we're going to have, representatives from the different committees be there and, just give a few minutes. Or maybe you and I will give a few minutes and everyone will be with us, and if they want to add on.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So and just so you're forewarned, that's going to be the night the board is going to have a public hearing on the question of whether to opt in or remain in or opt out on cannabis places of commercial consumption. So basically,
I thought they'd done that.
So
it was reported in the Hudson Independent that they opted in on dispensaries, but not lounges.
well, they plan to remain in on dispensaries, but they plan to opt out on places of consumption. So that will be on December 20th. So maybe, I don't know if you want to hold off and do it January 3rd then instead.
It's,
I probably won't be here that week.
Oh, okay.
January 3rd or December 20th?
On January 3rd.
Okay. So I can put it on for December 20th, but it's going to be up to the board as to whether they want to have an additional presentation on the agenda or not.
Right.
And Dean, will you be back on the 17th? Oh, that's Martin Luther King Day. So, Rich, what's
Meeting would be Tuesday.
Tuesday the 18th? Oh, and yeah, we don't have anything at night. Dean, are you back on the 18th?
Yeah, I'll be back by then for sure.
I mean,
so let me ask the board about the December 20th date, and if that's good, I'll let you all know. If they wanted a different date, I'll let you know.
Okay, right. You can give the second date would be January 18th if we can't do the 20th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sounds great. Then we have the liaison reports. Barbara, do you have anything from the placemaking committee?
We had that seating area in front of Mrs. Green's, and the plants were gone, but we ordered a planter to go there that is finished. So we're sort of, Rich, I think we're holding it somewhere.
Well, delivered
planter.
yesterday, either a day or two ago.
Yeah, you have it?
It was delivered a day or two ago. But Harley. So what I want to do is I want to reach out with like a simple letter to share with Coco and have them sign off on that the village would have the authority to, have it there. And if they wanted to do anything with it, they'd have to, or have us order us to remove it. They would have to give us at least a week notice to, to take it off site. What I'm trying to do is prevent, I'm not blaming them or I'm not pointing the finger, but just in case it was their guys or somebody who they have as a tenant, they couldn't touch it without without letting us know first.
Okay. So it's safe right now.
Yes, it's safe in the DPW yard, yes.
Okay, so we're in limbo with that right now, but then we're still looking at murals for areas around town.
So Barbara, you're calling this thing a planter. Are you going to put plants in it?
Yeah, it's a planter and it also will have artwork on it. At this point, I think we might, I don't know if we're going to hold it till spring, but it will depend where we end up placing it. It should be okay outside, but we still haven't decided on the artwork, the photographs that we're putting on it. So it seems, to me, it seems like we might as well wait until the weather gets nicer rather than put something out and have it get destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess when I have my next placemaking meeting, we'll discuss it.
Okay, great. Rich, do you have anything from the tree commission? Do you sit on that commission? I know, I feel like sometimes you do, and I don't know.
I coordinate a lot with Martin. I have not been attending those meetings. Normally Josh would attend those.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is now, I will be attending them. But but I do talk a lot with Martin and with the guys from DPW, and I know we planted, I think, about 28, 25 to 28 trees this year. A whole bunch were planted on Cortlandt Street. Anthony also planted, we got a $1,000 grant for 3 new trees behind the Veterans Memorial in Patriots Park.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, Kathy, how many trees were planted up in Wilson Park? About 7 or 8?
Yeah, I just noticed that. Yeah. I hadn't realized that they had planted trees up there. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a whole bunch of trees planted around the village, fixed up the streetscape, also did a whole bunch of trees planted on Main Street too. So really did a nice job in various places around the village.
That's great. And all the trees were native trees, do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know the tree committee and DPW and Anthony were all coordinating with each other on that. The trees that were planted in Patriots Park are red bud trees, or is it serviceberry?
American redbud.
Is that the shadblow trees?
The shad bush?
I know they planted American redbuds around the like the 4 or 5 cluster.
It's behind this Veterans Memorial, so
Yeah.
I believe redbud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if the other
those are native. Those are native, so that's good.
Yep.
But does the village have a policy of any plants there? I think we talked about this in the past, right? They don't have a policy about wanting to plant only native plants.
I think the tree committee has a very strong inclination to plant native trees,
Mm-hmm.
but we also have to be mindful of, if we're planting streetscape, you need trees that are very hardy, and sometimes trees like a ginkgo. I don't think a ginkgo is a native tree, correct?
No.
No.
But it's
So
hardy.
we plant trees that are intended to be very hardy along the streetscape because of the salt and the winter damage. They're more likely to survive. But I don't know what was planted in this latest round. I wasn't involved in that.
Gotcha. Okay. I would think that native trees would be, I'm sure we could find hardy native trees too, but yeah, we'll leave that to the tree commission. That's great. Okay.
Why don't you send a note to Martin and ask him what trees were planted?
I mean, he gave us an update last time and he told us the American redbuds, but he didn't tell us about the Wilson Park. So that's a good idea. Okay, so then other announcements. Well, obviously everyone knows the Tash Holiday Market is this Saturday. It's from 2 to 5:30. And then there's the tree lighting ceremony late in the afternoon. I think that's around 4:30. I didn't have an exact time on that. Rich, is that true? Do you know?
The tree lighting, it's right at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay.
Oh,
And then,
Rachel,
yep.
I have something I totally forgot about, but anyway, finish.
Okay. And then a new thing the village is doing through the Chamber of Commerce. So that should be fun. Main Street will be closed off from cars, and it will be, we're encouraging everyone to walk and go shopping and go eat dinner and support our local merchants on Saturday from 5 to 9. Kathy, do you want to interject here?
You go ahead and finish. It was a new item of business, and I totally forgot about it.
Okay. And the other announcement I had was that NISAC, the New York State Association of Conservation Commissions, they are looking for a working group to talk about floodplains and the rising sea level, and they want to include some of the river villages. So they asked, the president sent an email to all of the CACs in the area and asked if we wanted to participate. So I'm asking if anyone in this group wants to is interested and wants to work with that group. And you could think about it and get back to us. I don't know the details. I don't know how often they would meet and what it would entail. So I don't have that much more information, but we're happy to chat with you about it. So that's all I had. Dean, do you have anything else on that to add?
No, is that something that Simon is spearheading, or is there somebody else?
Yeah, Simon sent the email yesterday, but it wasn't exactly clear. I'm guessing he would be spearheading it. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if anybody wants to do that, I'm happy to help. Talk them through how to navigate working with Simon.
What?
The only other thing that came into my mind is also on Saturday at 4 o'clock, I think, is the Historical Society's reception for members. So there's too many things happening on one day there, unfortunately.
That was a bad choice.
Yeah, I know. I don't.
What were they thinking?
Don't know.
That's too bad. That's too bad. Okay, well, that's good to know. Okay, Kathy, all you.
So I met a gentleman who lives in Terrytown, and his business is composting. And he's done a lot of, I guess he has some engineering background and has studied the technologies that have come out of Germany with respect to composting and energy production and other things. And so he has a company here that has this little contraption called a rocket composter, which does on-site composting. And I suppose it can manage any kind of volume. And I wondered if you had heard about that, and if it had been something that, we don't collect the compostables from the vendors and the restaurants and the stores in Terrytown. And the thought crossed my mind that it might be something that could, since we don't have the capacity, or maybe there was a way to incorporate this, or to listen to what their product is, or to listen to how it works, to what their volumes are.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's a digester, right? It's not an aerobic composter, but I think it's a digester that treats the food scraps primarily, and then they end up then they go down the drain, basically.
Oh, no. It's a rocket composter, and it in 14 days the system transforms the food waste into compost, which can be used for lawns and other green areas.
Okay.
So basically, you create the compost for your town to use in its parklands and its natural places.
So it sounds like what I presented last month with the anaerobic digester, the horse. So we were talking about the one that Tustin, New York had, and it's like uses a retrofitted shipping container. Anyway, I think that there's a lot of these on the markets, but I think that's interesting, Kathy. I would love to talk to the neighbor and learn more and see if it's something that we can make a presentation to the board about.
Okay, great. Yeah,
I
I'll get you
mean,
the information.
or to the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, if he's like targeting businesses, he might want like business buy-in and get fees directly from the restaurants and collect, you know, like the village might not even be involved. So, but it would be good to
Well,
know.
you end up with soil, so it should be an entity that can use the soil, obviously.
Do you end up with soil or do you end up with a liquid? I think you end up.
No, you end up, in this case, you have to add in a certain amount of tree shavings or mulch. So actually, it could work together with Anthony's parks mulching effort, because they're constantly having piles of mulch. And you could use those, because you have to throw that in with the food scraps. And they can't take huge bones, like you can't put the large ham bones or leg bones, but you can put in, you know, the small pork chop bones and the chicken bones and those bones. And you come up with soil, and then the soil is used. I mean, you would want to use it, have a place to put it.
Ooh, Kathy, what's this gentleman's name?
His name, hold on, I have it right here. His name
Because I
is-
know Rachel and I were trying to talk to get somebody else, but I don't think he lives in Tarrytown, but he doesn't work in Tarrytown.
This guy's name is Gerardo Soto.
No.
And his entity is Food Waste Experts.
Okay.
And I can give you I can put in the chat his addresses.
Okay, great.
Hey, I want to just on this same topic, I just want to share a picture with you guys. This is White Plains organic composting operation at their DPW. It's just immense.
Wow.
You can't imagine how much organics composting. It's not food scraps, by the way, and they have so much recycling and so much available to their residents there. But this is their only actual food scrap recycling. They have 6 toters, so we're actually more than twice as active in that regard as they are. But as far as collecting their leaves and putting them into compost, it's an amazing. This is an area where they have trees stored that are ready for planting, that are, I guess, going to just be there, dormant for the winter. It's a huge operation they have, except for the food scraps.
Wow. They're lucky they have all that space.
Yeah, it's on an old landfill. So a lot of space.
Cool.
Anyway.
That's great. Anyone have anything else?
I'd like to, does the rocket require energy? Like, does it require gas or electric heat to help speed up?
Let me see. He gave me a lot of information. Let's see. Does not require significant power to transform waste into a new product and does not emit potentially harmful byproducts. So, yeah, it's basically turned. It's turned, and you add in the wood chips.
Okay. It may have a circulating motor or something, Rich. There's some small amount of electricity.
Yeah, I thought these were gas, processed or something like that. Gas fed somehow. I don't know enough about it. I've heard about them, but don't know enough about them.
It's a continuous process. Okay. You got once you've gone through the first 14 days and you've primed it, basically it gives you compost every day after that. So for your garden, I mean he says it gives you compost, but I guess that's what it's called. Yeah, he sent me links for videos and information. I should somehow get this to all of you, right?
I just looked up rocket composter And I found a good website, Food Waste Experts.
Okay, can you put it in the notes there and then we can go to it? That's great.
I mean, might not be a local guy, but maybe this local
I
guy.
have some YouTubes where you can see. You can see it's an A900 rocket composter.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
Oh, it's a barrel. So Rachel, it's not the
It's turned.
It's different than
yeah, if you look
the
at that
digester. Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
It is totally different.
Yeah, totally.
That's great. I mean, I'm so happy there's all these options around, and I hope we can figure out some of them for the village. That would be great.
Looks like it just uses a little plug-in electric power, no gas. Anyway, okay.
Right. So it would be great if we could, if wherever it was plugged into a building that had solar panels. So it's using solar.
Yep.
Like the school, for example. Like that would be cool for the schools to have something like that. Anyway. Okay. Well, so we also wanted to ask the group, we were talking about, we usually do a holiday gathering at the end of the year. Dean is donating his backyard and for a potluck. And we wanted to get some dates, throw out some dates. So the question is, Dean, you said you were away the first 10 days of January. So the question is if we would want to try to do it in December, or we want to do an after holiday gathering. And Dean, did you have some dates to suggest specifically?
Not really. I guess you're right. I mean, if we do it after the holidays, it would have to be probably more like mid-January in order for me to be here.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it before the holidays, well, you can do it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. If Thursdays are good for people, we could do it the day before. I don't know if that's pushing everything, but the day before New Year's Eve, the 30th. I don't know. Is that crazy?
I may be leaving. I may be leaving at that time. I haven't fully planned it, but I was thinking of leaving between the Christmas and New Year's holiday, and then coming back after the New Year's holiday. So that might interfere with that.
Okay, well, why don't we put out a doodle poll or some kind of poll, and we'll send it via email, because I think it would be complicated to do it live right now.
Okay. Yep.
Great.
And
well,
everybody also, I wanted to let everybody know I put the annual holiday party invitation in the chat.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
That's on the 16th.
Thursday, December 16th from 5 to 7 p.m., with flexibility, but basically over at the Doubletree, AKA the Sleepy Hollow Conference Center. So you all are. Okay.
Thank you. That's amazing. That's fun. Yep. Okay.
For TEAC members, yeah.
Yep. Wait, what's that?
For TEAC members, right? Not for public, obviously.
Correct. It's
for TEAC.
Volunteers and staff of the village. Yes.
For TEAC volunteers, Dean, right? Not just members.
Oh, I don't know, Rich. What's the
volunteers and staff of the village?
Yeah.
Volunteers and staff of the village.
Great. So everyone on this call is invited. Great.
Yes, we are not going to be standing there with armed guards telling people not to come in.
Wonderful. Well, I've gone a few years. It's a lovely event, and it's nice to meet all the staff behind the scenes of the village. So I encourage everyone to join if you can, and we'll share a glass of wine together. So great. Does anyone else have anything to add or comments or any other announcements? Okay, and then the next meeting will be Oh, I keep losing this dumb agenda.
January 6th.
January 6th.
Yep.
Great. And we'll continue with Zoom. I think the Zoom format just works for
It's
now.
easier for everybody.
It really is. I think it works great. So I think we should just keep doing Zoom unless anyone has a strong opinion. Otherwise, you can voice your opinion now or write to us and plead your case.
Oh, Rachel, this guy would make a presentation for TEAC if you wanted him to.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I mean, I think we should all learn about it. I mean, right. If it's a short presentation, we could invite him to the next meeting and he can give a little, I think that's terrific.
Okay. Like
Okay.
10 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like
probably
10.
not that long.
Okay. That would be great. Rich, do you plan to attend on January 6th?
I plan to attend. Unless
Okay.
something changes, I plan to be there.
Okay, great. And is Bobby, I haven't heard anything from Bobby lately. He hasn't been able to attend.
Yeah, he's had some personal and family matters he's had to take care of at home. So I'm sure he expressed his regrets, but wishes everybody a happy holidays.
Great. Thank you. Okay, great. Well, have a great night, everyone.
And
Thank you,
thanks
Rachel.
all the new people for coming and
Yes.
trying a little party here.
Exactly. Yeah, Kevin, I think Kevin was the only really new person, but Kirsten, thank you for joining the group, and Karen, thanks for coming back. And Karen,
Hold on. Already asked me to say something. Sorry. We've been having meetings of the Friends of Patriots Park. So we are trying to keep that rolling along. The goal is to raise money for a stage and some other improvements throughout the park. So, you know, there's a committee that's been formed, and Jim DeSimone is the chairman. Becky McGovern is one of the leaders on it. Verity is also on the committee, and there's also a number of people. But we're, you know, trying to focus on a number of ways to improve the park. And I just wanted to let everybody know about that. So Verity, I think that meeting will be January 4th, which is Tuesday night.
Very cool.
January 4th. Okay.
The stage would be really wonderful there. I don't know if you know this, Rich, but last time we had a farmer's market there during a windstorm, or it was during a thunderstorms were coming in and out, but it wasn't rain. We had a microburst go there and it blew over some tents and destroyed them, including the one that was in front of the stage. So any kind of a permanent stage would really be great.
Oh, wow.
So I think that's Effie presented to us a few months ago. I think, is Effie on that committee?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because she presented to us and she asked us for our recommendations, and we gave her a list of recommendations that we would like to see, including bike racks and a water fountain.
Yeah.
But that's great. Thank you for including that. Okay. Well, have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Rachel. You
All right.
too.
Cheers.
Good night. Thanks.
Good night. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Yes, good night.
Good night. Good night, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Carrie.